Advice. Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Dannphan's Advice. Today, I'm going to be talking about redeeming villains. A lot of people have a lot of different opinions on villains who have been redeemed in the past, whether or not their redemption was believable. So today, I wanted to have a discussion with you and talk about how can we make a redemption believable in a character. First of all, you should probably ask yourself if the character should be redeemed in the first place. There are a lot of people who build up these villain characters and make them sound absolutely horrible. They have a whole list of bad, evil things that they've done all their life, and then boom, redeem them. Without really taking into consideration all of these evil things that this person has done, without really considering holding this villain accountable for all of those actions. So I think that's something that we all need to realize is some villains you probably don't want to redeem. Some villains you build up them as a villain, and maybe you should just commit to them being a villain. But if you did have a plan to eventually redeem this character, then you should be considerate of the things that you're having them do. So I like to imagine a karma system, where basically whenever someone does a bad deed, it extends to the more evil side. Whenever someone does a good deed, it comes back over to the more good side. And when someone does an equal amount of bad deeds as they do good deeds, they're over here in the neutral. Now, I'm not gonna say that you can't redeem a character that is all the way over on the bad side. But I will say that it will be significantly harder to do. It'll be harder to make that believable to the audience. Now, if you have someone who's not all the way over on the bad side, if they're a little bit bad, that could be a little bit more believable that they would then switch sides. I think it's really common for writers to make a character more neutral before they decide to eventually make them good and redeem them for their bad actions. And part of the reason that is just because it's easier to do. People can already see that this character is capable of good deeds. People already know that this character is not so evil to genocide a bunch of babies over here. So it can be equally believable that they would become a good person as it would be for them to slip and slide becoming a bad person. That's part of the appeal of neutral characters, is that they could go either way. Now, when people talk about bad redemption scenes, I do see a lot of people pointing out Steven Universe. Basically, the idea of Steven Universe is there are no villains, every single villain gets redeemed in some way or the other. And the main villains of the series were the Diamonds, who were basically a bunch of space conquerors, destroying planets, killing their own people, killing all life, very bad stuff. And considering all of these bad things that they've done that would put them all the way over here on the scale, they have their redemption very quickly. They basically just talk to each other and just immediately have emotional breakthroughs. Now, later on in the series, they go on to say that, the Diamonds tried to make up for their actions by, freeing all the planets that they had under their rule. But regardless, the main argument about this redemption is that it just happens too quickly and it disregards a lot of past actions that the Diamonds have done. Which brings me to my next point. The length of a redemption arc. How long exactly should it be? I would say how much time you dedicate to redeeming a character should be reflective of how much bad they have done. If they're a neutral character, maybe you could get away with just a single scene. If they committed baby genocide, maybe you want a little bit of a longer scene. The one thing I will say though, definitively, is that I hate it when characters are redeemed off screen. I'm still salty about Endeavor. I'm sure some people will point out examples this comic redeemed this character without giving them an arc and it turned out okay. Normally when I see that in comics, it's just a trap. Like, the character, one moment, super evil, and then all of a sudden they come out one day and they're like, actually, I'm gonna be a good guy now. And the entire world believes them because they're stupid. And then at the end they're like, haha, I tricked you, I'm not a good guy. And the world is just like, ah, you got us, guys. I'm thinking to myself, yeah, no shit, because we didn't see anything that actually would indicate that this character had become a good person. We didn't see that change happen in them, so it's instantly less believable. It's like the classic saying, I'll believe it when I see it. How am I supposed to believe that a character has switched sides if I didn't see them change sides to begin with? As far as I know, they're still evil and just pretending to be good. Manipulation is an evil tactic, so I wouldn't necessarily rule it out just because they say they're a good person. So if you do want to redeem an evil character, I would recommend giving them a redemption arc. Redemption arcs usually go like this. The villain in question is faced with something that proves his ideology or his beliefs to be wrong. Then the villain will question his past actions, and in conclusion will want to make amends for those past actions and become a good person. And so long as you have those 3 points in a redemption arc, it's usually believable that the character has been redeemed. There are a lot of people who think that if you give a character a sad backstory, boom, they're redeemed. No. Villains can have sad backstories, the audience can feel sympathetic for them, but that doesn't mean that the villain is now a good person. There are a lot of villains in real life who have sad backstories. That doesn't mean that they're good people. Reasons are not excuses. So how exactly do you go about redeeming your character? Well, first of all, think about what do they come in contact with that contradicts their beliefs. What they are currently doing is bad. But how do they come to the realization that what they're doing is bad, it's wrong? Because the idea is every villain is the hero of their own story, right? They have their own twisted logic for why they think what they're doing is right. You have to present something in the story that contradicts their reasoning. One example of something that is, constantly done throughout all kinds of different movies and media is the idea that a villain's lackey or their minion or their right-hand man will follow the villain with absolute loyalty in belief that that loyalty is returned to them. And then when they realize that that loyalty is not being returned, usually, the villain leaves them to die somewhere or betrays them in some way, and then that's when they realize that their belief that this person was loyal to them was wrong. That also leaves them to question their own actions. What else have I been doing that's wrong this whole time and I just didn't realize it? But like I said, you also have to take in consideration what kind of character this is, what their past actions include, what have you already written in your story, and make sure that it's all in line with each other. Because you need to make sure that how you redeem this character doesn't contradict who the character is or what you've already written. I guess one example would be Harley Quinn. There are a lot of comics that try to redeem Harley Quinn, a lot of new movies that try to redeem Harley Quinn. And naturally there are a lot of different versions of Harley Quinn, but let's take to account the original Batman animated series version of Harley Quinn. So the idea of her is that she has this obsession with the Joker. She believes that the two of them are in love and that nothing can break them apart and that she always has to protect him, even if it means putting herself in danger. The Joker, on the other hand, has no affection to her whatsoever. He basically just uses her. Well, let's say that you do smack Harley in the face with the reality that the Joker doesn't love her. How exactly would you do that? Would you have him be mean to her? Because he's always mean to her, and she always just blows it off as not being that big of a deal. Oh, he pushed me out a window, but he still loves me. I mean, he sent me flowers. And that's one of the hard things with redeeming Harley Quinn. Because she is willing to take so much abuse, because it's so difficult to break her illusion, how do you redeem this character while also keeping in line who this character is? There's even an episode in the series where Harley finds out that Joker was going to blow up the city and leave her and everyone that she loves there to die. And that's really the only moment in the series where she actually fights back against the Joker and presumably tries to kill him. But as soon as he praises her for trying to kill him, she falls right back into his arms. So even knowing that the Joker would kill her doesn't break her delusions. That's brutal. Usually what I've seen in comics that adapt Harley Quinn, they redeem her by killing off the Joker because there's no way that she can get over him until he's gone forever. And maybe that is the best way to go about it. But like I said, you have to keep into consideration how you've written your character and what would actually be consistent with that character. So a few things. Keep in mind the karma, the system, how good or evil your character is. Keep in mind the redemption arc, the 3 points that can help redeem a character. Also, how long your redemption arc should be to make it more believable. And make sure the story that you use to redeem that character keeps in line with who that character is and your story overall. But those are just my basic rules and advice when it comes to redeeming characters. What opinions do you have on the matter? Do you have your own advice to share with people in this writing group? If so, leave a comment down below. Share your thoughts, share your opinions, like the video please. Subscribe if you'd like to see more Dannphan's advice videos along with many other fun videos. As usual guys, thank you for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye!
Program restart.